High school is the biggest failure of the American dream right now. High school fails young people on a daily basis. It's preparing you to go into a system that is broken. A broken system is putting you into another broken system. It's a pyramid scheme. And what happens is we have high schools where they're run by tax dollars, and therefore the incentive is to get you into a college where you give them more money on top of tax dollars.
Aloha, folks, and welcome back to the Degree Free Podcast. I'm taking over this week, and I interviewed Quinn McLaren. Quinn McLaren is a 22-year-old financial analyst at a Fortune 500 company. He is degree free. He broke out of college in what would have been his second year, and this episode is jam-packed. He goes over his experience, his story, the challenges that he's faced, but more importantly than that, he even drills down into what he experienced and how he believes parents and young adults should approach the college cliff decision that happens after high school. He also goes over the very unique way that he went about finding the job he's in now. So give it a listen. Please listen all the way to the end. And if you enjoyed as much as I did, do a 5 stars for Quinn, comment, let us know if you have any questions for him because he knocked this out of the park. Enjoy. Welcome to Degree Free. Ryan is letting me host this week, and that's because I have such a cool guest that I have been so looking forward to talking to. Everybody meet Quinn McLaren. Quinn, welcome to the Degree Free Podcast.
Hey guys, it's awesome to be here. As a longtime listener, I would say for about the last 8 or 9 months now, I've been following you guys on TikTok. This has been something that I'm just absolutely stoked to be a part of and contribute to. I'm really excited to be here, and thank you so much, Hannah, for having me.
Absolutely. Quinn, part of the reason that I wanted to talk to you is because you have what I'd say is a really amazing story that has a lot of value, that has a lot of encouragement for our listeners and their parents. And so that's the main reason why I was so excited to get you on here. So can you tell us what you do for work?
I am a real estate financial analyst. I really deal with anything that does with a piece of real estate that my company is in possession of and the financials that surrounding it. So profits and loss and all kinds of fun stuff with actually dealing with landlords and dealing with our tenants and things like that. It's been something that I've just fallen in love with, and I'm super excited to be doing it. And I'm young and I can't wait to do more. I'm doing it right now for a massive Fortune 500 healthcare company, something that I never in a million years expected to be part of. I just really have been enjoying it, and coming from an atmosphere of family that are surrounded in degrees, it's been something that I've broken into and just really endorsed myself in. And
that is an amazing intro to my next question, which is, did you buy a college degree?
50%. I went to school starting in fall of 21, and I was going to a university off the coast in Texas here in Corpus Christi. I was going for a management information systems degree. High school me had no clue what that means, but it sounded cool. How does anybody pick their degree? What were my friends doing? What was interesting? What was I into? And then you go and read the little course catalog, and it's like, management information systems professionals are integrated in IT systems and business. So this is a great career to kickstart your career into IT, and yada, yada. I bought 50% of a college degree. I say 50%. I think I left college with about a sophomore's level. If I had wanted to finish, it would have been about a year. I still paid 2 years of tuition and all the room and board and the fun stuff that goes with it.
Do you feel like it was harder for you to break out because you were already so deep into your degree?
Oh, absolutely. The number one consensus you get from family, from friends is you can see the finish line, just like you're about to see it. Like if you just go over this next hill, you'll see it, and then you'll have to run so far to finish. It was difficult. But the entire time I was in college, the one place I wanted to be was not in college. I would say first semester of freshman year. We go to college with expectations. We go there with priorities. And ultimately, we go there expecting results. And it's not an instant gratification dream. Going into it, I was like, man, this college thing, I'm going to try it out. I'm really not sure if I want to do it. Do I want to go into the trades? Things like that. And of course, family and friends are like, go to college. That's the way to be successful. I remember calling my mom first semester of freshman year and being like, Mom, I hate this. She was like, Quinn, you can stick it out. You got this. And I did for another year and a half. And lo and behold, I'm so glad I didn't keep going.
This is such a dynamic point, that break point of halfway through, because that's actually when I broke out too. I would have left about a sophomore and I just couldn't do it anymore. Was it boredom or was it the fact that you couldn't see an application? What was really the ultimate reason that you decided you just couldn't stay?
I think that the biggest issue, all of those things reign true. The biggest thing for me was the why I had every time I sat in class. Every class you take, every minute you sit in a classroom, I was asking myself why. And you ask yourself why enough times to where they say the definition of mania is doing the same action multiple times and expecting a different result. And I did that with class. I'd go in and I'd be like, why am I here? And then I'd be like, you know what? Tomorrow I'm going to learn something that I'll actually use in my degree field. And you never do. You keep on going, you keep paying the man, and you're in school, and every class you take is a gateway drug to the next. And it just causes the why to continue on and on.
Was there a specific class where you just decided you couldn't sit there one more second?
It's a much larger issue with the class selection. I think one of the most aggravating things about college en masse, taking a communications class as a business major, it's 3 credit hours. So I'm paying for this class. But my professor was constantly like, let's just do these little assignments. I was like, I did this in kindergarten. These classes are almost basic that it's stupid to pay for them. Most people that are 18 plus have worked a fast food job. You learn more about communications than the professor teaches through that job. And so communications was one of those classes. I'm pretty sure I got a C in communications, being completely honest with you. And it was because one of the things is the assignments came up on my Canvas or whatever. I'd be like, I have no desire to do this right now because what's the point? But of course, it's required. It's required by the school to complete your degree.
That is exactly what I was looking for. So some people are familiar with my story. I'm going to call it the break point. It's the breakout point. That's what it is. Because there's a moment you're sitting and it's usually a specific professor for whatever reason. And you just go, I cannot stay here one more second. And after that, it's brutal. It's insufferable. I'll give you an A in communications because you seem to be communicating with me just fine. But yeah, you had your breakout moment and you left. What did you do? What was your next move?
Yeah, so really from that point on, it was this almost like the stages of grief because I was in a state of denial of I've sunk myself here. There's no way I'm digging myself out. Either I'm going to just drop out and there's going to be no career path forward. There's going to be no options available to me. And you're looking at all these things. Should I sign my life away to the government? Should I X and Y or all these kinds of options? I don't think until you do it, you really can figure it all out necessarily. Or at least in my circumstance, I felt like I couldn't. I think ultimately you really have to plunge in that moment. You're questioning a lot of times, like, what's my path forward if the path society's put in front of me is no longer an option?
So you had that moment, and then you had what sounds like a lot of confusion, which most people do, because exactly what you just said. If what everyone told you to do is not the thing that makes sense, now what do you do? It sounds like you thought about trades. Signing your life away to the government is the military for the listeners. I come from a military family, so I heard that one loud and clear. And then also because you had ruled out college, and those are pretty much the only 2 paths, I'm sure. Do you feel like that's what you were given in high school too? They said you can go to college, you can go become a plumber, or go pick up a wrench, or go put on a uniform.
I think that, and not to get too politicized, high school is the biggest failure of the American dream right now. High school fails young people on a daily basis. It's preparing you to go into a system that is broken. A broken system is putting you into another broken system. It's a pyramid scheme. And what happens is we have high schools where they're run by tax dollars. And therefore the incentive is to get you into a college where you give them more money on top of tax dollars.
Hey there, I hope that you're loving today's conversation. At Degree Free, we want to help as many people as we can thrive and succeed without needing a college degree. Having these guests on that share their experiences so that you can learn from their stories and their mistakes is one of the ways that we do that. Genuinely, I'm just grateful that these guests take the time to come on and share their wisdom. And if you're getting value out of this conversation, or you've listened to 2, 3, or 4+ episodes, I have one quick ask. Please take a moment right now to review this podcast on whatever platform you're tuning in on. With your review, you're not just supporting us, but you're amplifying the voices of every guest we bring on and ultimately helping more people thrive degree-free. Thank you for doing that right now and for being such an important part of Degree Free.
Really, as an independent school district wants you to go because college admissions are higher, grades are higher, test scores are better, which means more money for that school district, which means more support and ultimately higher wages, better bonuses, things like that. So there is an incentive financially for these school districts, particularly high schools, to do some things that are unethical in people's life plans in order to get you to go to college. High school prepares you that much for college as it is today. And what happens holistically is that we have students that have these very narrow points of view. It's interesting because, in more urban or lower income areas, we have lower college admission rates, right? But we have more people that are out of debt in those regions. We have more people that are investing their time into trades, blue collar work, getting into career field that doesn't require a degree. They find a way. The thing that college does is it gives people an excuse to not make a plan. What they've done is they've become sheep. They're following what everybody else did because it worked for them.
Where have you been? This is going to be such a good episode. There's so much there that I want to unpack. So it sounds like, too, the reason it feels like you feel strongly about this, and correct me if I'm wrong, is because it burnt a couple years of your life. And it's not like you're old. You're 22. So you're very young. But what's interesting about that is the reason you feel so strongly about this, how close you are in proximity to this just happening to you, and then how you've been able to find success without that.
I think the aggravation for me comes from the people that got me here are able to continually do it, but also the people that got me here think they're right. We have a community of individuals that surround us and are the people that formed us to be where we're at today. Be that your teachers, your parents, your siblings, your mentors, your loved ones, whatever. They're the ones that encouraged you, get the degree, finish that out, go this path because it's the best plan to get you to success. They want to think they're right. And until a person like yourself or myself comes around, they're like, yeah, but they're unicorns. It's just not the truth. And also, you talk about proximity. Yeah, it is like you lose time. If I was 18 coming fresh out of high school, I can tell you a million ways to Sunday that I would have changed my life. And one of those things is never, ever touching a college campus.
Okay, so what would you have done instead? Let's roll back the clock then. Let's roll it back to 18. And just to recap for the audience, you are a real estate financial analyst for a Fortune 500 company. You are degree free. If you could roll back the clock and not have to spend any time on a college campus, what would you have done? What would you have learned instead to get you where you are now without ever touching a college campus?
Your number one objective as a young person, and this is what I tell anybody I meet that's 16, 17, 18 years old, this is what I tell them. Don't go into debt. Learn as much as you can. You might not make all that much money. And that's fine. Because what happens is you realize when I'm a candidate for a job and you're compared up against these bachelor's, master's degrees, what is weighed isn't the piece of paper anymore. It's how much experience you have on a resume, what you bring to the table. Because quite frankly, most companies look at a degree and go, okay, I know a guy with a degree in rec sciences who works with a previous employer who's a property manager. He's told me, I make great money in this field, and I never needed this degree in the first place.
Obviously, you're living proof of this too. You and I both are proof of this. That's changing really rapidly. I was just on another podcast, and the host, who's from a different generation than us, who was very open to the message, said, well, you still need a degree to get good jobs. And I didn't interrupt her. She was finishing a thought. It was one of those things too, where the recent numbers that have come out about this are that ZipRecruiter found that 9% of the jobs on their site, and ZipRecruiter is the top job board in the US right now, it's 9% even say they require a college degree. I'm sure that the job that you applied for probably had a bachelor's degree requirement in it just because of the type of job it was. So did my initial tech job and every subsequent job that I have had since then. And so you and I both know from experience that of those 9%, even less than that actually require college degrees. Because require is a legal term, and those are not requirements, those are requests.
You're touching on something when you say require. 9 times out of 10, On the job training is all you need. And having said that, in many positions, both ones that I've worked and ones I've seen others work, they learn 99% of what they're going to do for their job, what they're being paid to be a professional at in the first 30 days of being there. But they didn't talk about, oh, do you know how to make a balance sheet, financial statement of X and Y? They really touch on, it's really about charisma and it's about personality, perseverance, your own drive that truly pushes the employer to take this step. It really has nothing to do with your qualifications at the end of the day.
So you broke out and you left. Where did you go after you broke out of college?
I went home. The one place that was always going to take me, wasn't very happy in the decision I had made, and had faith in me as their son to actually succeed at something. I think the hope and prayer deep in their hearts was, please go back.
So you went home, and then what did you do?
One of the reasons I'd broken free of college was I had broken my neck while I was there. And so I was still in a recovery phase. I was still going through a lot of stuff, both mentally, physically. And so I just wasn't all there to work yet. So fortunately, I was shacking in my parents' house, and eventually I got on Indeed. I started applying anywhere that I thought this is reasonable given my qualifications. And prior to that, I had been working as a leasing agent. I'd worked as an RA for a little while I was in college. And so I was like, I'm going to do something like that. I know that there are higher positions there. Maybe I can just start as a leasing agent and work my way up. And so sure enough, I applied to one, and 47 minutes after I put in my application, I got a phone call. And it was a gentleman who became one of my greatest mentors in the last year of my life. And he was like, hey, I need somebody to fill this property management position. Can you come do it? I was like, dude, heck yeah. He sent me an offer letter that evening. I was like, this can't be real. He was like, can you start Monday? I'm like, it's Saturday, but that sounds great. So I showed up on the Monday and I started working there. I worked there for just under a year. And I learned so much from that individual that, again, I can't thank that gentleman enough.
So you left, you were an RA. That was what you had on your resume. Did you work when you were in high school?
I did. So I actually worked for Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers, if you know what that is. Worked there for like 3.5 years, even a little bit into college. Not many of my friends thought it was real cool that I was frying chicken.
Dude, 3.5 years in the launch program, I work with the 16 to 20-year-old age range. And so many of them think that 3.5 years of continuous work experience is not impressive. It is. I'm like, that's amazing. People love to see that.
And I left actually turning down a management role with them just because I didn't have time. I was in college and that took precedence. And little did I know I turned down like 65 grand a year. But college, it was going to solve all my problems.
If you had gone back to that point and known what was going to happen, would you take that job now?
110%. I have known some individuals, and just to give you kind of a sidebar, a good buddy of mine that I worked with in high school, he had pretty much nothing. And he was one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. But he went from having nothing, having parents that weren't in the picture, and he is now I think an operations manager for Cane's. So the man is making like a 6-figure income, and he's my age. At a chicken restaurant, frying chicken. He's really doing well, and he's found great success just by sticking to it. It took him 4 or 5 years of work experience to get where he's at now. And I don't think the guy plans on doing anything else anytime soon.
They promote people that are good at their jobs. So not only is your story great, but that's also a great story within your story. I hope everybody enjoyed that little sidebar because I did. That was really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like, you never hear of like a fast food employee going from zero to being the second in command of a multi-million-dollar restaurant.
I might have to ask you for his info after this. Okay, so I want to go back to, for those of you who are tuning in, I told Quinn before we started recording that we're trying a new format here. And Quinn is wonderfully, kindly agreed to be the guinea pig for this format. So I'm trying to make sure that I hit all of the questions that I prepped for him, because I think you guys are all really going to appreciate what his wisdom and his experience in this. So how did you get your job at the Fortune 500 company once you were a property manager?
I was in a position out of nowhere where I was hiring people, I was firing people, I was a manager. So I had to look at it like I was hiring myself. You look at your resume, and I'm a stickler for it. There are some great websites out there. I use resume.io. It's awesome. There are some great resume programs out there that cost little to no money, and you can make a resume that's visually appealing. Working on the resume is one thing, but also working on your strategy for applying is another. Most companies, especially now, are really using recruiters pretty heavily. I typically wouldn't go towards a recruiter. You got to be careful which, recruiting agencies you approach. That's how I landed where I'm at. I went to a recruiting agency. I said, "Hey, here's my resume." I had an interview with the recruiter. So they do like all the preliminary stuff. So they get a feel for you, your personality, your ambition, all that kind of stuff. And then they take your resume and they say, "Hey, X and Y company, we think he'd be a great fit." That makes things so much more painless, but also I think with the job search, and I see this on TikTok every day of people that are just getting lost and feeling like there is no end to this application merry-go-round. It gives you a sense of gratification. Some progress will give you the ambition to continue. Fortunately for me, I was still in my role when I made this, job transition. So that made a big difference with the anxiety levels and things like that. But if I had to do it all over again, if I was out of a job, that's the direction I'd go 9 times out of 10. You'll apply to 10 recruiting agencies and maybe get 2 calls back, whereas you might apply to 100 on ZipRecruiter and get 0.
That is so smart. That strategy has never occurred to me, mostly because it's not something I have a lot of experience with the agencies. I think that the question people are going to probably have is the same one that I have now, which is if you don't have a degree and you're going to self-eliminate, a lot of people I bet think that you can't apply to a recruiting agency unless you have a college degree. So what would be your advice for how did you fix your resume so that you thought that they would be likely to call you back at all?
I think the cool thing was that the recruiter, see, these recruiters, they operate off of a commission off getting you hired. They want to get you hired. They hear somebody come in, they're like, awesome. No, they're like a used car salesman. They want you to look good. I sent my resume to my recruiter and God bless her, she sent it back and she was like, here's some edits you need to make. She gave me pointers. She said, here is a resume that I thought did really well. Here is yours. Here are the changes I want to see. And we think this is going to be awesome. She helped me through that. And it was pretty awesome because, like I said, they want you to get hired. And not many people are lining up these recruiters' doorsteps anymore because we've got apps like ZipRecruiter and Indeed that are taking the recruitment process out of these recruiters' hands. But they have massive companies contacting them on a daily basis that are anxious to hire people. So they're putting pressure on these folks to get you hired. That was by far the best part. But also having a recruiter gives you a point of contact. If you're ever nervous about, I applied for this job, I want to see where I'm at in the status. And you're like, I'm not going to call them because what if they think I'm pestering them or I'm annoying or whatever? This gets rid of that. I could call my recruiter and be like, hey, it's been like 6 days since I heard from you guys. Where's my application at? And she gave me, the rundown. Like, yeah, it's in their hands. They thought it looked good. We're going to set up a follow-up interview. Or, hey, haven't heard anything back on my side either.
Wow, that is going to be super valuable to people. How did you find that recruiter? I think I probably know the answer, but I would like to hear you tell people. So imagine no one's ever done this, someone's never done this. Then they don't have your mindset, which is huge. I struggle with this too. But they don't have your mindset and they're going, okay, I'm going to go give my resume to a recruiter. Where do they find that recruiter?
Be wary because there are quite a few that will try and get you into an MLM or some kind of scheme. So you do have to meter them. There are some great lists online that you can go to. The one I applied with was a massive organization. And Hannah, after this, I can get you their details, but they are a global organization. There are national ones. There are recruiting agencies that are recognized by government agencies, by Fortune 500 companies, and they're the resource. If you can find one of those, that's the best way. But honestly, if you Google, find like Forbes has a list of them, I'm pretty sure. So do ZipRecruiter and Indeed, ironically enough.
Mm-hmm. And just double check everybody, do your due diligence, like Quinn said, so that you don't go to one that's trying to. Also, if they ask you for money, that's not a recruiting agency. That's a scam.
If they're ever offering, some of these will be like, hey, we're a sales-based job. We're selling X and Y product, insurance, roofs, things like that. For every one real job on Indeed, there are 10 roof estimators and sales jobs available. You've just got to be wary of what you're looking for.
And sometimes those can lead to good things, but at the beginning, you are not going to be making money.
Absolutely.
So for people that are hard pressed to find W-2 work, that is probably not the route. I will give that as a disclaimer.
Great as a side gig. but I would never pursue that as a hard pressed
That
job.
one's definitely not for most people, but some people can do it. So if you're interested in that and you want to be a roof estimator, Indeed is your place. Or I'm going to get a degree-free roof estimator, probably email me after this and say, hey, I want to come on and rectify the situation.
Disprove me. I have eminent respect for them, but I think you're breaking free from a degree and now you're breaking into a career that is very dependent on your sales aptitude, but also season of the year, uh, insurance markets, and things like that. So it's a complicated world to get into.
I agree with your assessment of it. I do. I want to make sure I ask you every single one of these questions. So you went to the recruiter. So you didn't go out and learn any specific skills that you saw. You just went to the recruiter and you let them do the assessment for you about where your skills would be applicable.
So working in a project or property management world, you get a lot of experience in a lot of things, dealing with difficult people, dealing with project management, dealing with vendors, and also, business to business interaction. It's a diverse feature set of things you learn. Ultimately, I did my own assessment. I sat down and I said, okay, what are some things definitively about me that I learned? I put every program that I'd ever used for work, whatever software I was using, even the Excel product and, Word, things like that, put them all on there. Put those towards the bottom so if they scroll, they see them. But, putting like programs and things like that on there, they look at it and they're like, oh, yeah, this guy, he's got it. And that's definitely something important. And then, of course, yeah, the recruiters do their own assessment outside of your resume. They make a profile for you that also gets presented to the potential employer.
That was super helpful because I was wondering, I was like, how did they bridge that? How did they bridge the translation? I'll say, as you said, that's exactly what ZipRecruiter does is they kind of obscure that away and just make it smaller. So the recruiter does it. That's awesome. Okay. My next question that I was curious about, because I get this one a lot, and I'm betting that you do too, if and when you tell your story, when you were interviewing, did they bring up your degree or lack thereof? And then how did you address being degree free? How did you package it in your initial interview at your Fortune 500 company job interview?
I actually struggle with that exact question whenever I was preparing for this interview. And I sat there and I looked at my resume and I was thinking, what do I say? What do I say if they ask? And I said, I guess the best defense is going almost on offense. I was the first one to say it. Listen, guys, I haven't finished my degree. And I was waiting for a pause, a lull in the conversation. And little did I know they were going to be like, oh, well, actually, the company will pay for you to complete your degree. I was like, too easy. It was met with, instead of being what I thought was going to be, oh, well, that job's out the window. Bye. It was met with really almost open arms, like, yeah, come on, man. Like, we're going to take care of you. Right now, my company's taking care of me that way. I absolutely think they do. I look around my office, I look around the office I used to work in, and companies do this all the time. Incentive is they want to build the perfect employee because hiring people has cost them too much money. And so they would rather take you on, build you up the way that they need you to be, because at the end of the day, hiring and firing are two of the most expensive things a company does with personnel. So they would much rather you not have a degree and send you to school than invest in somebody who's a waste of time.
That brings up something good too, which is, so it sounds like you took them up on that. So you're finishing.
Right now, I haven't started. So you have to hit a vesting period with the company and things like that. As of right now, I am working on career certs, though. I said I want to get as many acronyms behind my name as I can. It's a joke between me and my girlfriend that I'm going to get as many acronyms behind my name as I can. Right now, I'm working on what's called the CAMP, which is the Certified Associate of Project Management. And then soon after that, I'll be working on what's called the CPM, which is a Certified Property Manager. And then eventually, I'd like to get my accounting degree so I can be a CPA. See, the only reason that I'm after it really is just for the extra acronym.
Because I was going to say, did you map out that career trajectory now? Because you go, all right, I can reduce the downside risk of finishing the purchase of my degree and then leverage that into taking the CPA exam. Is that what you're going to do?
Again, degree free doesn't necessarily mean that you are free of a degree. Degree free can also mean that you're getting it for free. One thing is that, and you asked if I'm the one that planned this. My boss at my company before and my boss now have both been so receptive and willing. When I walk up to them, I'm like, hey, I'm really thinking about my future career options. I want to grow here. What should I do? And they're like, well, what do you want to do? And both of them have been extremely instrumental in helping me kind of form a pathway. And I've got three, four different ways I can go, which are all satisfactory to me. But they really did open doors that I didn't know were already open.
I'm so glad that is your path because it did address something that I really care about, which is, and you've heard Ryan and I say this, there are some jobs that legally require a license to do, that legally require a degree to get a license to perform. CPA is one of those jobs. You have now, degree free, found a way to get there without paying for it. And I am chef's kiss. Perfect. I'm so excited for you. Is your plan to stay at the company as a CPA?
I've never seen a work environment that is this conducive to growth, but also seen one where people are open about almost like their deficiencies. Like, I want to do this so that I can get here, or I'm not good enough at this just yet. And people are really open about it. It's a discussion that happens all the time with coworkers, with, superiors, where it's like, hey, I don't know how to do this, but I really want to develop here. And they'll be like, okay, let's get you your certification. Let's put you in some classes. It's instrumental in that process.
I think that brings me to something because it's going to be really important, especially if anyone's listening and you have a hiring or you're responsible for a team or you own your own business and you're responsible for hiring. But Gen Z is the hot topic of the workforce right now because they can't really figure out what to do with you guys and they really don't know what your next move is. You got to keep them guessing. They have no idea what you're going to do. And I say you guys for those of you listening because I'm the youngest millennial you'll get. So I'm not technically Gen Z. I'm right there on the edge. And so I'm kind of been watching behind me and all of the Gen Z folks, which Quinn, you would be in, they think that you folks don't care about your career. They think that you don't care about growth and they think that you'll just up and leave at the drop of a hat. But I actually think that all of the millennial moving around, us changing jobs 12 times in the span of 10 years, I actually think the rebound, everything goes back to the future. Everything goes back to the way it was, which is it is going to go back to the gold watch. It is going to go back to you've been here 7 years, which is a long time in this current environment of work. And they're going to do things and bend over backwards to keep you folks. And it sounds like the company you work for has figured it out with your management because that can make or break whether or not you stay.
That's exactly right. I think companies are going to have to really mold themselves to be environments that are communities of growth rather than communities of productivity. And it's been shown, just there's Bureau of Labor statistics out there that show right now Gen Z is productive for I think 2 hours and 38 minutes a day on average. And I think that's hilarious because I go into work and I'm like 2 hours and 45 minutes, I'd be out of here by noon, right? It's insane to me because one of the things is, you almost do have to keep them engaged and excited for things. The workplace has to change in that regard, but also you have the ability to look at a workplace and see what they're going to promise you. I think for me, going into a company, they can say they're going to afford you all these opportunities and it might just be leverage to make you come on. But by far, looking up the company and seeing the growth opportunities other people have experienced, it's unparalleled.
Like I said, you have such good proximity to this. So imagine you're speaking to a 16 to 20-year-old right now, and they're going, okay, I'm going to go degree free, but I'm not sure what my next move is, especially if they think they want to go into something financial. Anytime there's financial, and I'm bringing this up because I know for a fact that you've seen these comments on our TikTok and you see people go, you can't touch anything financial. You can't touch anything Fortune 500, which is laughable because here you sit degree free, Fortune 500 financial analyst. What is the path for those who are interested in finance and want to go that direction and they're in that 16 to 20-year-old age range and they need to start learning stuff? What are the top 3 things you would say they should start learning as far as tools or methodology?
I would honestly say that, and this applies to anybody that's pursuing that degree-free path, is take a year. 18 to 19, nobody has ever finished out their 401k. There is nothing lost with 1 year. Most Americans don't start saving for retirement until they're 35, 36 on average. So realistically, taking 18 to 19 and saying, I'm stepping back from picking a career and I'm just going to exist, but find something to obsess over, right? When we work at something, when we're doing it for work, it becomes stressful. It has implications that are larger than just something we enjoy. For me, what I found is the part of working as a property manager that I enjoyed the most was the financial aspect. It was the real estate management aspect. I kind of obsessed over it. I would watch podcasts, TikToks, YouTube, anything I could get my hands on. I used to never be an audiobook guy. Love audiobooks today. it made a huge difference because I was able to obsess over something that I truly enjoyed. And now that I do it for a living, it's like the love is not lost. I'm doing what I love to do. And so that makes a huge difference. Ultimately, if somebody wants to go down the path, it really takes the first year. It's crucial. Find what it is that just really sparks an interest in you, obsess over it. Don't go to school for it. Don't drop a ton of money on it. Don't put yourself in debt, and just explore it. Fall in love with it, because your willingness to learn when you do get that first in-field related job, maybe that first stair step, you're going to be far and beyond a lot of your superiors.
That, I think, ties into what you were saying at the beginning, which is the don't go into debt, your points. It's okay to make a little bit of money. And I think that that is such a mindset shift from how a lot of younger people and a lot of their parents tell them to approach that time. It's interesting to see too how responsible that advice is versus go spend $26,000 you don't have per year when you don't know what you're doing to figure it out, or go make $26,000 per year. But for some reason, people think that there's shame in earning $26,000, but not shame in spending $26,000 they don't have.
It's insane because society right now is so willing to encourage somebody to go into a negative net worth position, but for close to $100,000 on average. And we're just like, cool. But then whenever there's the guy that didn't go to college and he's at McDonald's making $16 an hour, and you're like, actually, he's doing better. Until the age of maybe 36, when you get those loans paid off, he's still doing better. Maybe he financed a car. Okay, he's still doing better. And a lot of people, it just hasn't clicked that with the cost of tuition, cost of room and board, no reason. In college, you spoke about making that financial decision. I don't think students understand the irony of the finances of college. I think you touched on this, but one thing that's always occurred to me is that you'll always see things that stack up, and you compare yourself to people that are honestly like on a less successful track, or, they're the screw up that didn't go to college, and you're like, realistically, they're doing better.
I have a little note card. I'm looking at it. Sometimes I draw out ideas on Post-it notes. I'm looking at one right here where there is a college student with a cap on. It's like a little cartoon. College student with a cap on telling somebody working at Buc-ee's that they're uneducated because the person who worked at Buc-ee's did the basic calculation of, I don't have $26,000 to spend on college on a chance of a chance of a chance that I might need this to get a job, maybe. But this person is standing there telling them that they're more educated when in fact, all of their actions say that they are not educated enough to have made a very simple, logical decision, which is, I don't have that money. I probably shouldn't spend it in a way that I can't get out of.
What's funny is, just to your point, exactly. I actually created on my end, just in Excel one afternoon, a model to see what it looks like if somebody's making $15 an hour for 2 years versus somebody who goes 2 years into college. And what's hilarious is that if the person making $15 an hour is able to save $100 a month during that time, they have more savings than the average millennial.
I would love to show you after this. Also, if you have that model, feel free to shoot it our way and we'll put it in the show notes and shout it out to you. That reminds me of an episode Ryan and I did a long time ago, like when we first started the podcast, where we had it was a burn down chart of an ER doctor versus a UPS driver at 18. And the ER doctor had said, I will not catch up to their net worth until I am, I believe, 67, because people are conflating, and you've seen this, I'm sure, they're conflating earnings and net worth, and they think that those two things are the same, which is a little concerning.
Lord, no. It's funny because, I think it's actually Dave Ramsey. He was talking about a lawyer that he has, and he was like, the lawyer is jealous of his plumber because the lawyer's got a couple $100,000 in student loan debt. And by the time he meets the same net worth as the plumber, he's going to be working well into his, 70s. It's this just crazy delusion that we've allowed to progress. We've found ways to make it more accessible and encourage it. And it's the best thing to do. But there's no way on paper it makes sense.
After we are done recording, I have some things to run by you folks. If you see a white paper with Quinn's name on it, you'll know why that is. And I think we're about to wrap up because I promised you I'd keep this to a reasonable amount of time. And man, this has been really amazing to have you on. And this has been such a good conversation. Yeah, people are going to love this. This is amazing. Folks, if you want to give Quinn his due, go ahead and drop a 5-star review and tell us it's 5 stars for Quinn. That's what we're going to do for in the reviews. This has been so good and so insightful. And I feel like there was a lot that was actionable and really encouraging, both for young adults, for parents, and for just job seekers too at this point. Like you said, it's very discouraging. And I think that a lot of job seekers feel like they're in the maze. They feel like they're just wandering around. Oh, look, these trees. Oh, wait, it's the same trees. That's how they feel. I think that a lot of people are going to take quite a bit away from your insight and what you did. And I think that strategy is just brilliant. You talked a little bit about your parents. I want to bring this kind of home, but you talked a little about your parents and when you came home after you broke out. What advice do you have for parents who are trying to support their young adult children as they make difficult decisions like, I don't need to be here and it seems difficult to leave? And what can they do and how can they best support their kids as they build their life?
There's two realities that I've seen. First of all is that there's the parents that are like, sure, honey, do whatever makes you happy. And then there are the parents that are like, what on earth are you doing? Very much I had the latter. I don't have anything against them for it now. Love you, Mom. It's one of those things where you've got to look at it. Being the student that's dropping out, the approach has to be right. If you approach your parents and say, hey, I'm dropping out of school. I have no clue what I want to do, but I really want to do something with myself. I really want to break free from this and I want to do something that's my own. That approach is going to hit them differently because ultimately your parents want you to succeed. They want you to fall into a career that's meaningful and exist in a world that does nurture you, allows you to achieve the dreams they have for you. And they do have dreams for you. Approaching it from a perspective of what are my parents thinking and why do they think this? We get so bogged down with, oh, my mom's going to kill me. She's going to say X and Y. Why does she think that? Break it down and try and find a way that you can, instead of stoking the coals, maybe put out some of the embers with your conversation, but also really just warm up to the fact that they may never come to terms with this. But there will be a time when Mom looks at me and is proud of me, and it's going to feel 10 times better because I did this. It was my thing. Now, from the parent side, if your child is dropping out of college or is saying from a high school standpoint, Mom, Dad don't want to go to college, I would encourage them to say, take a year. I would encourage them to say, take time, put thought into it, pray about it if that's your thing, but really invest your headspace into making that decision and allow your child to explore. High school, every high school is going to be like, we allow kids to explore and learn through teaching others and interaction with others. No, it's like buying a fancy water bottle at the end of the day. It's just water. When you look at it from that perspective, that your child actually does need to explore, make mistakes. They need to be the kid that's working the horrific job while they're 19, while the people they met at school or all the people they had in high school are out doing things that seem productive. It's going to do a million wonders in their brain, their work ethic, and their mindset. And ultimately, taking time to just step back and really launch yourself is going to be the most appropriate method. And as a parent, support, love your kid to death, but keep the ambition alive. Keep stoking the coal, keep telling them, hey, let's keep moving forward.
Quinn McLaren, everybody. Thank you, Quinn, so much. Awesome job.
Thank you.